The opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Cable 14, its sponsors, or its shareholders, Cogeco Cable, Shaw Cable, and Source Cable Limited.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Culture by the Minute here on Cable 14. My name's Jeremy Freiburger, and I'm your host. I'm also the cultural strategist from Cobalt Connects, an art service organization based here in Hamilton, and this is our fine show. I'm wearing my sunny shirt because we've got a storm brewing outside, so hopefully I'm bringing you a little bit of sun on this stormy day. Culture by the Minute, we're always talking about local culture, local creativity, what's going on in our art scene. And today we're going to focus a bit on the music sector. As you know, with every episode, we always bring you the NAICS code, which is the North American Industry Classification Code, for whatever arts industry we're talking about, because this is an industry, we employ loads of people. So this is music. So music is 71130 in the new 5-digit system for NAICS code. So that's musicians, independent music artists, recording labels, all those sorts of people, all under 71130. And I'm going to give you a few stats about the music scene in Canada, the music industry in Canada, to sort of put in perspective the scale of an industry that we're talking about. So in Canada, we purchase about 40.8 million records per year, about 4.7 million digital downloads. All of that adds up to about $650 million in sales of music in this country. We churn at about 2,400 albums per year are released by musicians. 410 of those have made the worldwide top 2,000. Of the artists that are topping that top 2,000, representing Canada would be Shania Twain, Celine Dion, and Avril Lavigne. So 3 women in the top 2,000, which is kind of exciting. Teenagers between the ages of 15 and 20 are listening to a staggering 26.8 hours of music per week. I find that staggering. 95% of Canadians actively listening to Canadian music. 93% of Canadians think that Canadian music is just as good as music from anywhere else, whether it's Europe, the UK, US, wherever. 56% of musicians earning less than $10,000 per year, and the average in the industry is about $24,000. So we're, again, performing similarly to other artistic disciplines, with, I think, visual artists being somewhere around $12,000 per year. And there are about 12,800 people employed in Canada in the music industry, and that's everyone from musicians to recording people to labels, all that sort of stuff. So, big business in Canada, music, certainly a changing business in Canada, and that's your little snapshot of what it looks like as an industry. And we've got 2 folks with us today from Hamilton's music industry. Happy to have them with me. We've got Adam Bentley from Auteur Research.
Hey, Jeremy.
And his band The Rest. Thanks for joining us, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
And we also have Kori Pop, who's often referred to as somewhere between Mary Poppins and Joni Mitchell, with her musical inspirations ranging from Radiohead to Led Zeppelin, Neil Young to the Symphonie Fantastique. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
Hi, Kori. Adam, we'll start with you. You're all over the place in the music scene. You're a musician, you're a researcher, you're a promoter. Talk to us a little bit about the multiple hats that you wear in the Hamilton music scene.
Well, basically, I did it out of necessity originally. I had my band, The Rest, and I was trying to get us to get some notice, and it just made sense to try to do more than just make music, instead of waiting for someone to come and bail me out, really. And so now I split my time trying to record and perform as much as I can, but also get out and, you know, make other bands get some notice. And so I'm working with usually 6 to 10 bands at a time, and trying to get them press and get them online.
And how exactly are you going about doing that? I know social media plays into it, but talk to me about the big picture of getting a band noticed in this country.
Well, now there's so many niche markets, so no matter what kind of style you play, there's probably someone that's, you know, has their own blog or is a writer for a magazine that'll be interested in what you're doing. So I just try to find those people and connect the dots.
And today we're talking a lot about sort of how music is a very collaborative industry, that there are all sorts of different people playing a role and getting that music into a listener's ear or onto their iPod. And did you have a sense when you started, you said you started out of necessity, but did you have a sense that it was going to turn into a business, that there was actually a market there for helping musicians connect with the press and whatnot?
No, I had to be convinced, really. One of my good friends, Dan Aiken, I was studio managing Catherine North at the time, and at basically, I think he realized wasting my time there because I was basically hanging out at the studio all day. And he said, you know, you've been getting a lot of press for your own band. Why don't you talk to this person and that person? And I kind of ignored him. And then he talked to that person or this person and connected the dots for me. And then through word of mouth, I just kept connecting with people. And really, I've been just lucky because I've connected with quality artists, and they've been able to get press, because when it comes down to it, it is the music that's getting you notice. So you just can't expect to put anything down on tape or record anything and expect people to pay attention. You just named how many records? 2,400 records released in this country.
Yeah.
It's insane. So you really do have to put some care into it. But if you do that, and you think about, you know, your story, your narrative, and your image to go along with it, there's going to be a spot for you. It's just finding that spot can take some time.
For sure, for sure. Some good advice there, and obviously the legend of Dan Aiken lives on in this community and whatnot. So going over to you, Kori. I first saw your album when I was buying a stroller for a soon-to-be new baby in my family. And then was reintroduced to you pulling this show together through Adam, so really glad that he did that. But looking into your music, looking at your album and your website and whatnot, see that you're playing a lot of those roles for yourself. You're designing your own artwork, you're creating your own music. Talk to me about being an independent musician. When you collaborate, when do you not collaborate, and who do you have around you to keep your career moving?
Usually I try to do everything myself first, and if I can't do it well, then that's usually when I bring in someone else. So I think finding your strengths and then and building on them as much as you can, that's been really important for me to do. I never thought that I'd be doing as much as I've done. I hired Adam actually to do the publicity for my first record, and that was the best decision I think I ever could have made career-wise to date, because I never would have been able to reach as many people as I did if I hadn't have done that. So that was a really important collaboration, and I kind of got into doing my own music videos because right away I knew that having that visual representation of my music was something that was going to be really important, and got into doing these puppet videos, and that sort of became its own little thing. And in the future, what I probably will be doing, the bigger the projects become, I'll be definitely hiring people to do the filming and stuff. Currently I actually had Amber Edgar do the filming stuff behind the Rests music video, actually, because that's not really one of my strengths. So Amber from Citizen A, she just did an interview, I think, for you guys not too long ago. Yeah. I
think I actually stumbled into her in the boardroom. She rents a studio from us at the studios at Hotel Hamilton while she was making papier-mâché horses.
Yeah, that
was something.
Yeah, and that was actually for Adam's band.
There you go.
So yeah, and I think that it's a lot of work being an independent musician, and it definitely varies between being a solo artist and being a band, because with a band you can delegate, but being a solo artist, I find it actually pretty overwhelming. It's a challenge, and it's more than not, it's very rewarding, but it's a lot.
For sure. Yeah. Are there, I know in other disciplines, there tend to be either things like unions or professional associations or even some nonprofit groups that focus in on helping artists develop their careers. Are there any organizations like that in Hamilton that are helping you as a musician, or Adam, you as a researcher and promoter, to understand what your options are as a musician in this community, and how to sort of, are they giving you any resources to move forward, or do you each feel like you're off on your own, sort of duking it out?
I do feel like you're a little bit off on your own until you connect with certain people, and it's usually individuals that are have gone through it and had the experience. Either they've signed with a label or they've had a publishing deal or something like that, and you can learn from those experiences. I think one of the reasons why I can help so many artists is because I've failed at so many things, and I now know how not to fail. And that helps you get towards some success.
For sure. I was chatting with some folks from the world of innovation the other day, and they said in the world of innovation, they look for a company to pivot 3 times, so sort of change its path 2 or 3 times, or fail quickly. Learn from your failure, and get back on your feet and keep running. So your idea of learning from failure, Adam, is something that I think definitely creative people have embraced and continue to do. I think this is actually a good time to jump to our clip that we shot off-site over at Catherine North Studios before this episode with Michael, one of those people that's a really great connection in this community and showing how the studio plays an interesting role in a musician's development. So let's jump to that clip, guys, of Catherine North Studios. All right, so here we are at Catherine North Studios down on Park Street in Hamilton. I'm here with Michael from Catherine North Studios. Michael, Catherine North, been in this community for a long time. You've got quite a legacy. Talk to me about some of the artists and the kinds of artists that have come through the doors here and the multi-doors that Catherine North has been over the years.
Okay, there's certainly a long list of artists. I'm going to focus more on the stuff that's happened more recently. I think it's certainly a little bit more exciting.
Sure.
Over the last couple of years, we've had some larger acts like City and Colour's been in, Whitehorse, which sort of a hometown act as well, which is nice, and then a whole number of local independent artists, Ophelia Syndrome, Paul Federici, of Gentlemen and Cowards, who were just on Letterman a few weeks ago, and it's just been a really exciting time. Like, I actually am relatively new to Hamilton. I've been here for about 5 or 6 years now, but it's been a really exciting thing to become part of Catherine North and all the things that go on here.
And the business has grown over the years, and it's morphed and changed and all sorts of different things. How does a creative business like Catherine North attract that variety of client to its door?
A big part of it is word of mouth. That's probably where 90% of our clients come from. Is they know somebody else who's recorded here, or they see looking through credits of other records.
Sure,
that's certainly
who made that track.
Yeah, it's like how did they get that sound? Where was this recorded? And they, so we certainly do get inquiries through that as well. But by far, a vast majority are word of mouth. It's like, hey, my friend recorded a record there. They said it was great. We want to come in. And what we always do too, when a new artist comes in, is have an opportunity to sit down and meet with them and make sure this really is the best place for them to record. Because it's a unique space. There is no control room here. It's just one open room. And that works. I think it can work for anything, but sometimes some people feel more comfortable in different situations. But I leave that. I always want to make sure that is really clear to the artist when they're coming in. And
sure, we approach that sort of in a similar way in that we run studio facilities for artists to have studio space. And as much as sometimes an artist comes to our door first, we may not be the right space for them, depending on what it is they're chasing. So being able to objectively talk to an artist like that is, I think, a really important part of being a creative business that sticks around.
Yeah, and another actually big part of it, it's not just the space too, it's also the people. Because if we're working on 12 hours a day, you got to like the people that you're going to be with.
Absolutely.
There's nothing worse than finding out after a few hours that there's something about your personalities that just don't work right. So that's another thing too, because there are a number of engineers who do work out of here, and so a lot of that, coming in that initial meeting with the band is all about finding out, personality wise too. It's like, who's going to be the best fit for this? Is it going to be me, or is it going to be Dan Hosch? Is it going to be Duke Foster? Who in our group is the best fit for that?
Yeah. The music industry's gone through a whole mess of changes over the last 10 or 15 years, whether you're talking about distribution or about how major labels play into the music industry and people self-recording, all sorts of stuff. How has Catherine North managed to pull through all of those changes and still be the business that it wants to be and still be a business that's connecting with artists? You
make a lot of points there. I think certainly on the major label side of things have are completely different now. I mean, but we never really had a lot of. We were mostly dealing with independent artists, and even City and Colour and White Horse, who I mentioned earlier, are both on independent labels. So their funding, they're not as directly affected by that. It's not the big market stuff where they're losing a lot of money through illegal downloads and such. But the independent artists still need a place to record. A lot of them, some people are doing an awesome job recording things on their own. But part of what coming to a studio is about too is getting that extra objective opinion where, we work together on something. It's not just about like, band plays, we hit record.
Right.
Okay, give us your money and out the door. It's
burn
like
CD and see you later. Yeah.
It's much more about, like, as I said, you come in, you have a meeting, we sit down, we talk about what the artist's goals are, and I think that just keeping in touch and keeping sight of how we are actually helping, like where we're adding value and where we're not adding value. If there's something that an artist can do on their own, and they can save some money, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah,
Like we've also done things where it's like somebody just wants to record drums because it's a beautiful space, they get a nice drum sound, but they've got a recording set up at home, they can do their vocals, whatever there.
Right.
No problem. At the same time, it's nice to be able to see a project through to completion. So it's there's a lot of different ways that we can fit in, and it's not just about churning out hit records. It's about helping artists sort of achieve what they're truly capable of, but maybe can't do on their own, or they just want that extra opinion in the process.
Perfect. Well, there you go. Music being absolutely a collaborative art here at Catherine North. Check them out on the Creative Director to learn more about what Michael and his team are doing here in Hamilton. And there you have it, folks. Michael over at Catherine North Studios doing great stuff again, still connecting artists, helping them sort of reach their goals, whatever it might be, whether it's artistic or career development or whatnot, as a studio playing a really important role there. Kori, doing some early research today, we found out that 61% of people involved in the music sector are men, which leaves the rest as women. Wondering how you feel about being a woman in the music scene. Do you feel like you're treated equally? And when we think about that, we've got, again, the top 3 Canadian albums worldwide are all by women. So
they're all really good, too.
They are. So, Kori, your thoughts on being a woman in a male-dominated industry?
When I first started studying music, actually, I really felt the difference. I was quite often getting you're really good for a girl kind of thing. But I don't know. Now that I'm a little bit older, I really don't get that feeling at all being in the Hamilton scene ever, actually.
Nice.
There's never been that feeling. Maybe it goes on behind my back. Adam probably says stuff about me all the time, but who cares what Adam says?
It's all about exploiting.
So and I think...
Kidding.
Yeah,
Please,
sure.
understand this at home.
And I think in the local scene, we see a lot of women standing out as well. I mean, I think of people like Christy Seeley and Tara Lightfoot and whatnot, a lot of great female musicians doing great things. So, Adam, as you probably know, and a lot of people have seen online, Young Rival's new video has gone crazy on YouTube.
Yeah.
650,000 hits in the last 10 days or whatever it's been.
50,000 more than when you sent me the
when I sent out these notes earlier. Yeah. So talk to me about the role that video is playing and how the online world is helping musicians build that network and build that audience.
Well, I think, it can get you to, for instance, with Young Rival, I'm sure that video's gone to the majority of people who wouldn't normally just check out their music. It was, the video's phenomenal, and the artist that did it, it's just so eye-catching that people had to engage with it. But from that, you might not get, 650,000 people might not like it, the song, but you'll find your niche market in that number, and the more people that see you, the bigger that niche market becomes. At the same time, just having a video out there doesn't have to go viral. As long as you see steady gains, that means you're connecting with an audience organically, and that means you're really hitting people all the time that are really into what you're doing. I think it's a necessity for almost every artist. it's great if you can go out there and just make music and not worry about anything else. But realistically, that's only 0.00001% that gets to do that. You know, I'd love to just go to my house and have people over and record music and forget about everything else sometimes, because it really is just about the music. But if you're not engaging with the public, they're not going to engage with you usually. And video is an easy way to do that. And if you can connect with someone like we connected with Kori, that we had similar sensibility about what we wanted to do. If the visual matches up with the song too, then you're probably going to hit your target audience a lot better. You can't just put any sort of image with your music and expect that to connect, or expect, even if you do connect to a lot of people, for that to matter.
Yeah.
So you do have to be particular about all of these different things. You know, my band was known as probably one of the worst offenders of not being image conscious for years. There's 7 of us, all different shapes and sizes, and you'd look at us on stage and you'd go, what is wrong with these people? But we couldn't see that for such a long time. Maybe we still can't. You don't know, but we're trying. You have to understand what you look like does unfortunately matter to people. It's so superficial. Sure. and terrible, really, like when it comes down to it. It should be just what people are hearing, but unfortunately, you know, YouTube is like the jukebox of the 21st century now, and
For sure.
the kid, like Jennifer Lopez and that Pitbull, or they've got like 600 million views.
Yeah.
People are not picking that up. Just it's background music. It's also for the visual. It's also for all of these different reasons, and the more conscious you are of the reasons people are listening to your music, the better chance you have to connect with them. For some people, they don't need to connect on all these different facets, but you have to figure that out. And
Well,
sometimes it's trial and error.
Yeah, absolutely. So some sage advice from Mr. Bentley there on bands having to sort of pay attention to their brand as much as the content they're putting out there. They've got to look at who they are as part of that content. So we're going to throw to a handful of events that we always like to promote before the end of the show. So I think we've got an event board popping up any second now. There we go. Hamilton Illustrated, a new book by David Collier, incredible local illustrator, has his book launch on November 2nd at 7 p.m. You can learn more at events@princebooks.net. Went to one of their events last week with Salman Rushdie. Incredible event, so don't miss this one. Steel Gold, 1-year anniversary party, the hip-hop scene in Hamilton at the Casbah, November 1st at 9 p.m. featuring Lee Reed, DJ Akin, The Demon, and EDP. So a great show to catch there. And the Very Potter musical, I assume a Harry Potter influenced musical at the Lyric Theatre, which is running now through November 10th. More information at lyrichamilton.ca. That's our show for this week, folks. We're giving away some swag from these two folks, so some albums by The Rest and by Kori Pop will be available to the first 10 people that share this once we throw it up on YouTube on the Cobalt Connects Facebook page, so check that out. Also excited to tell you about something called Band Together, where we're giving 4 local musicians and video makers a small grant to create their first video and a pile of resources to help them out. So check that out on our website, www.cobaltconnects.ca/media is where you'll find the application form for that. Entries due by November 9th. That's our show, folks. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thank you to Adam, to Kori, and Michael from all the great music scene here in Hamilton. This has been Culture by the Minute on Cable 14.